Welcome into the Golfing Dads Halfway House, everybody.
How are we doing tonight? You know, I feel like I haven't done a shameless plug on the Halfway House yet. So, Popsicles on the Halfway House tonight.
Nice. I like it.
Go ahead,
I thought we were trying to keep this show classy.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
Popsicles are classy.
Without my glasses.
I wasn't talking about the popsicles. I was talking about the shameless plugs.
I can't see. I can basically your two blurry visions in front of me, but you know, most of my life, that's the way it goes anyway.
Let's get right into it tonight on the Halfway House. How would we improve the President's Cup? What would we do? What do we think changes should be made? What do we like? What don't we like? So let's get right into it. Steve, what's one of the first things that you see in the President's Cup today that you don't like?
Here's an interesting take. And I'm going to compare the President's Cup to Live.
Okay.
We talked a while back about one of the things that Live wanted to do, and we thought was a great change that they should have done originally, in that they want to get home golf courses and take their tournaments to home golf courses for each of their teams. And we thought that was a great idea for Live. The problem that the international squad has is while you can say it was a home game for the international squad, they literally only had 25% of their players from the country that the tournament's in. So it's a road game for 75% of their team. Okay. And the problem that the challenge that you have with this is how do you fix this? It's almost impossible to do. And even breaking it down, Dave, I already know you're going to answer this question, and I know how you're going to answer this question. But what's an INT?
It's an interception.
I knew that was going to be the answer. But like when you think about it, we're out there waving flags around.
Mm-hmm.
We're out there running around. I mean, they have the shield. They wear all black. Like, let's start with, I mean, I would try and do some uniforms and some team uniforms.
Did you see the hockey jersey?
The hockey jersey was
wanted one.
The international hockey jersey was there. I liked that.
I agreed.
Yeah.
The American one was pretty sweet too, that the wives and girlfriends were wearing. That one was pretty sweet and looked fun to be in. But like when you look at what the problem that you have is, an INT chant is great if you were at Hard Rock Stadium last night cheering on the Dolphins on defense.
No.
Well, you don't have an offense without Tua, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, so Steve, what I'm hearing here is what their biggest flaw right now is that the international team doesn't really have a home because they are so spread out. And when you play in Canada, you're basically making it home for the U.S. squad because it's just our neighbors to the north. So
it's like, was it Family Guy that called Canada America Junior?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Robin Williams. It's a loft apartment above a really great party.
Good party. Exactly. So, all right. So that's two things that you didn't like. Dave, what are some things that you don't like about the format or styles in the President's Cup that we can work on?
Here, I'm going to lead it off, and I know Steve's going to hate it. It's a team event. Put the best team out there. Throw the PGA, throw it all out the window. You are trying to win for your home country. It doesn't matter. Keegan said it. It doesn't matter. He's like, we play this game for free. You know, it's the greatest game in the world. And we've seen that line over and over in movies. It's the greatest game in the world because anybody can play it. And anybody should be able to play it. And you're playing for your country. Yeah. You know, and you're playing for your country. It's not about a paycheck. It's not about, you know, who you sold your soul to or anything else. You're getting out there. We're all American citizens at the end of the day trying to play for Team USA. And I think that should be the number one thing for either the President's Cup, and we're not talking about the other one, but when it's called the President's Cup, I think no matter where you are at the end of the day, you should be able to play for it. And that whether if you're a captain's pick at that point in time, you're a captain's pick. But I think you have to have some type of ranking system, or names in a hat or darts on a board or something. But at the end of the day, you are trying to play for your country. You're not playing for the PGA. You're not playing for the USGA. You're not playing for LIV. You're not playing for DP or whatever. You're trying to play for your country or for the international squad as it is and win that. And I know I've rambled on enough about that one like we did last week, but that's my number one.
So with that, I'll jump onto there. I think that it's too much like the Ryder Cup in the sense of it's just you're replacing Team Europe with the international team. It's too much like that. So there needs to be some sort of change to the format. I like the team format. I like where it is, but I think that is solved. Hold on, Steve. I think that's solved by changing up who is in this. So with that, let's move on. And Steve, I'll go to you with this first.
Mm-hmm.
What would you change? What's one of the biggest changes you would make right out of the gate?
So I had originally thought, do they need to change the format and on Thursday and Friday have all 12 players play? So you have 6 matches both days.
Okay.
And then I thought about it some more and I thought, depth of team and all these other things. And then I thought, what if we made this 8 players?
So I'm going to take that a different route. What I want to see
8 players per team.
No, what I want to see is 16 players per team.
Ooh.
And I want you to combine Europe and the international, make one big international squad. And 8 of the players are from the male side, whether that's LIV or PGA or DP World Tour or any of the tours that you can think of on a male side, and 8 are on the PGA or LPGA or the female tours, and have that international squad have a mix of it. Make it a bigger event. Make it those 4 days, but mix it up a little bit. This will change it from the Ryder Cup. It combines the Solheim and the Ryder Cup to make this President's Cup. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to watch that immediately because I think that would be entertaining. Because I think you can do things like have men's matches and women's matches, but then you're going to have mixed matches out there. And I think that's going to make this a lot more entertaining.
Scotty Scheffler and Kelly Korda on the same team going up against Minwoo Lee and somebody else.
Yeah. I think that would be exciting.
His sister.
And I think, I was gonna go down the same route. I think there was some guys from Sports Illustrated that did a kind of fact or fiction on this as an article as well too, and kind of quote my sources there. On that idea of changing it up to a co-ed. Some of the guys agreed with it, some of it didn't. But I think you're right, because the Solheim, you're trying to promote the game in a bigger fashion, in a global fashion. And I think outside of the Solheim Cup, they don't get that. Yes, women's golf has come on a lot stronger in the last couple of years, but outside of the Solheim Cup, where do you really see it? And this would be a fantastic showcase for that type of team event where, I'm not going to put, male versus female, out there. You could have, your female matches, your male matches, and then a mixed team, whether it's alternate shot or I think an alternate shot mixed team would be fantastic. Or even, a best ball there. So,
I actually
on the same page there.
I actually think that they need to do that event, but I think it needs to be a separate event from the President's Cup and involve the European countries and combine basically the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup, and the Solheim Cup into one event and do it, and then add in the Asian players that play on the LPGA Tour. I think you need to.
When are you
I think
doing?
you need.
If these alternate every other year, when are you doing that?
That's going to be the problem you run into.
Yeah, that's why I think you need to evolve the President's Cup, because I think the Ryder Cup is great, and you might need to evolve some of the Ryder Cup too. My backup plan was kind of have maybe 4 different teams that you put together that 2 play each other, and have it as almost a 2-week event where 2 play each
round
other,
robin.
and then the top 2 go on to the next week and they play each other. Like, or have it the whole week long, and you start on Monday and Tuesday. There's
Here
that
becomes
round robin.
here becomes the problem with that event. The minute that Team USA doesn't even make the finals, the world is going to be up in arms. And I understand the why, because when you look at
you misspoken there. The world's not going to be
Well,
up in arms.
no,
Yeah.
America's going to be up in arms.
The world's going to be
college-
happy at
Yeah.
that point.
Right,
It's the
the world
college
will be
football
happy,
playoff
but
scenario.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. When you look at what is up and coming, so look at the number of players and the percentages of players on PGA Tour U, and you look at the percentage of players on like PGA Tour Latin America, Mackenzie Tour, Corn Ferry Tour. PGA Tour U is 65% US players and about 17% players that would be on the international squad. The rest fall into Europe, obviously. Corn Ferry Tour is about the same. I think it's 70, like 12, and whatever the rest is, 18. And it's also the same makeup on PGA Tour Latin America, PGA Tour Canada. So when you have that many more players that are American, your chances of getting through the ranks of PGA Tour U, Corn Ferry Tour, or PGA Tour U to PGA Tour Latin America, Mackenzie Tour, and then into the Corn Ferry Tour, and then making it to the PGA Tour and getting on one of these teams, I think you've got a better chance of making the big league starting in low A.
But I think that if you do this and you're growing the game more across the world in this event that shows that you can play kind of from anywhere, I don't think you take just dominant PGA players. I think you have to take so many from each league that's out there that you have. I think if you have to take from the PGA, you have to take some. You have to take some from Corn Ferry. You have to take some from DP. You have to take some from the Asian Tour. Like, you have to spread that out, because I think that would help grow the game too.
Yeah.
And make
Here's
it
and agreed, but here's the problem. If the PGA Tour is going to run this like they run the President's Cup, they're going to want to show off their brand. It's like when you, and we all understand this, because when you run hotels in Orlando, your goal is to keep people, if you're not running a Disney hotel, your goal is to keep people on property one day during their stay to spend money at your hotel. You want to market your hotel. And it's much like Disney saying, well, Universal has this roller coaster. Disney has basically the same thing, in trying to keep people on Disney property versus going to Universal. PGA Tour is going to want to market their brand, and they're going to want to market their stars, just like the NBA has marketed stars for years now.
Well, maybe that's the problem, is that this has become a PGA event where I think it needs to be a joint venture with different avenues, because
It needs to be a global event.
you're keeping yourself one side.
But somebody needs to run it.
Why?
So who do you have run it?
You run it together. It's a joint run event. Like, you come in and you say, hey, you pick someone from this event, this tour, and this tour, and say, hey, this is the committee that's running this event for the year. Like, it creates another job out there on all of these tours, and it helps grow the game together. And it would help take apart this divide with Live and all of that, because you have to work together on all this stuff.
That won't happen.
Well, I know it won't
happen. That won't get to the point.
But it should.
Speaking of which, I sent you both a text message earlier today. Did you see the pairing for the Dunhill Pro-Am tomorrow, or this week on Thursday?
Yeah, it's the PIF and the PGA. So
Jay Monahan and Yasser are in the same group.
I feel bad for Billy Horschel in this whole scenario.
Yeah.
And that was planned.
What about Dean Burmester from the Live Tour? You feel bad for him too?
It's those two are going to be like, oh yeah, it's a. But with this, so if you could change one thing right now, so not like this big thing like we're talking about with changing events and everything right there. What's the one thing, and Dave, I'm going to start with you. What's the one thing you would change? And don't go into adding live players into this, but
Nope.
what's the one thing you would change?
And I saw it, came from golf.com, saw the Insta on it. Line everybody up on Sunday, and everybody you alternate picks on Sunday singles rather than the captain setting it up. And so you don't know who you're going to go in and play in on Sunday. Who's ever has the lead has the first pick and say, okay, Scotty, you're going off number one. Who do you want to play against? And you just line them up on the green and say, all right, let's make your pick. And who do you want to play against rather than the captains setting it up the night before?
So the player picks.
Yeah.
No. This is what Dave's saying.
Ryder Cup's the blind draw. This one they can say who they want to play with. So like Scotty can say, I want to play Hideki, and Hideki will be like, I want to play Scotty. So when that player gets named by their captain, the other captain can put that pick against them.
Nope. They just they line up on the green on Sunday and say you might
no advanced placement
and no advanced placement. Mike Weir may walk up to a hat, or Furyk walks up to a hat and pulls a name out and says, Colin Morikawa, who do you want to play against? And okay, you're on the first tee. Everybody waits until they tee off, and then do a blind draw for the next one. So you're not lining it up. So if you're only a 2-point lead or something like that, maybe Scotty doesn't go out until last because his name doesn't get drawn or nobody wants to play him.
That's true. All right, Steve, same question to you. What's one thing that you would change kind of immediately with the President's Cup?
It's kind of one and the same. Everybody plays Thursday and Friday. So you add 2 matches Thursday. You add a match each Thursday and Friday. And then no one can sit out a full day.
Okay, so you're going little league rules almost. That a pitcher can only pitch so many innings, and you have to pitch. You have to play everyone on your roster. Exactly. So everyone's got to go in. I like it.
Well, and here's the thing: Thursday and Friday, because you're only playing what would be 6 matches, you don't have to worry about TV. You can set that up ahead of time. TV coverage will be fine.
Yeah,
there's no issue with TV coverage. So let everybody play. Get everybody out on the golf course both days. And if you've got a liability on your team, it exposes it. Like, imagine if you go 6-0 on Thursday, or you go 1-5. Like I think that everybody should play Thursday. There's no reason that you have 2 players sit Thursday and Friday. It's not like you're getting them ready to play in the afternoon session. There's only one session each day.
I'm going to throw in a wrench here, and this would be a wild card of a thing to do because it would change the dynamic of a lot of things. It would be on alternate shot days. If you're going to sit people on alternate shot day, you can sub someone out mid-round.
Ooh.
So you got a pinch hitter coming in. Well, like you got Mariano, you got your closer coming in to finish the back 9 because player A has not been having their best day, and I want to. That's the only reason to have a bench. I want to.
Bench. I like that.
Do a one time and do it kind of like soccer. I can take them out; they can't go back in, and I can only do 1 or 2 of those swaps.
Yeah,
like I think that would be an interesting wrinkle, and it makes the captain do a little bit more. Like they got to watch, they got to make the decision. Do I put this person in? And then maybe if it's on the day of that Saturday where you're playing 2 different matches, you can't if you do it in the morning, that person now can't play in the afternoon if they were subbed in. Like make the subs matter.
They just got a red card.
Yeah. Make the subs matter if they're on the bench, whereas just sitting them out, you're wasting them there.
Yeah, the subs are, they're out on the practice range. They got to stay loose.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they go off, and after everybody goes off, maybe they go out and play 1, and they just kind of lag behind the groups. And if they need to get called up, they get called up.
Or the other option, I'd say, for the bench, if you got a tie, they're the tiebreaker. You got to take this bench over here and this bench over here, and they got to go play.
Well, I kind of like that one, actually.
Yeah.
So,
like
Problem
one
is
hole or
that
all 18?
the problem is we didn't have a tied match
no. So that's
until Sunday.
But that's the same thing you can have in any other sport where you don't sub people in and out, but you have that option to do it. I think it would throw an interesting wrench in here that we haven't seen in golf. And you're having that little challenge in there, like, oh, do I put him in? I kind of look at it like I said, I went to the Cubs game last week, and I don't like the designated hitter in the National League. Just going to say it. I'm an American League guy. That is an American League thing. I love the strategy behind having to choose if your pitcher's staying in or you're taking your pitcher out because they're going to bat. I like that.
I like it because we have Kyle Schwarber.
That's also true. You got like the DH Schwarber, but I thought that brought an interesting aspect to the game that we could now bring into golf, into these kind of events where you can sub someone in and out. All right. Any last thoughts? Anything that you think you haven't gotten in here that you think, hey, I really want to get this in for the President's Cup? I think it would be very helpful.
No, I think we've hit the nail on the head here, and you're right. I think overall we've said it mirrors the Ryder Cup a little bit too much, minus the extra day on there. As diehards, are we still going to sit there and watch it and have one stream on our laptop or iPad or phone while we're watching football on Saturday and Sunday? Of course, because that's what we do during the normal PGA season too. So, trying to, move the dates on this or something like that, it really doesn't matter. So, it's not taking away my Saturday or Sunday from watching, college and NFL football, because I'm just getting more sports as I watch Major League Baseball playoffs at the same time right now. So more sports is better sports.
Steve, any final thoughts?
Well, I do enjoy the U.S. domination of this event. I said this last week on our show. I do think for this event to grow, the international squad needs to make this more of a competition. And it has nothing to do with the players that have gone to live. It's been U.S. domination. We've won 10 straight events. It's not because these players went to live. It is what it is. Like, we just continue to win at this event, and it's not like the Ryder Cup. I do think there's a lot more. I think we've put a lot more pressure on ourselves with the Ryder Cup than we do with the President's Cup, because it has become a W. I think the next, and we talk about W, the next President's Cup is going to be up, Greg, close to where you were this past weekend. It's going to be up in Chicago, at Medina. And when you look at having it at Medina, I mean, if I'm the U.S., I want to do something to raise the W flag like the Cubs do in Chicago and bring that Chicago flavor into it. And so,
but I think with having it at Medina, it makes it a home match for everybody, international or U.S., because all these international players have played Medina just as much as the U.S. guys.
Royal Montreal is an event, is a location that they've played on. They've played the Canadian Open there multiple times. Royal Melbourne, they've played so many events at Royal Melbourne to begin with that all these guys have the yardage book from Royal Melbourne.
It's the crowd is what it is.
It's the crowd. And I do think that the crowd struggles from the international standpoint because it's not really a true home game. Mackenzie Hughes set the over-under this week on Canadian national anthem singings to 1 per hole, and he said it fell just short of that. When you look at that Canadian, and yes, the Canadian team got a great reception. They get that same reception when they play the Canadian Open. But I think the idea that you don't have where the U.S. can run out one flag, the international squad has so many flags that they've created the international shield, and it's not the same as it is waving that U.S. flag around like we get to do. And for our country and our pride. And I don't think there's a lot of pride on that international side, because you're not really playing for one country. You're playing for, how many countries are represented this week? 6, 7?
Yeah. So with that, I think we've hit the nail on the head here. I think that's the international team needs to get a international core, because the Ryder Cup, the European team kind of has that because it was kind of based out of the UK
Yep.
prior, so they still kind of cling to that. I think we need to fix that. I think we need to fix some other things, but with that, what would you do? Put in the comments, what would you do if you were going to change the President's Cup? We'd like to see your thoughts in there. Put that in the comments. Check out our normal show on Tuesday nights live on Facebook and Instagram, the Golfing Dads Tavern, and hope you guys enjoyed the Halfway House.
Cheers.
Really fortunate, man. I mean, having the opportunity to build something that's
That has gone viral on our TikTok. That somebody was commenting about playing Whistling Straits on 700